You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ12. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ12 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Welcome to Critical Hit, a Major Spoilers podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and checking us out this week. Oh, man. Seems like every time we think we know what we're doing, we don't. Or something like that. Correct, Rodrigo?
Every time you know what you're doing, you don't. I mean, I feel like you guys are pretty good about heading in a general direction.
Yes. General direction being waypoint.
Yeah.
General direction.
I thought I knew what I was doing on this game. We hadn't gone to the Feywild yet.
So what has happened, Rodrigo?
Well, you told me.
Critical hit?
What has been happening?
Well, last time...
On critical hit.
There you go. Sam and Rob get the points this week.
That was early.
We were contemplating making an invasion onto Waypoint because Asmodeus' ship's fleet had all taken off, and we may only have the one chance, but the problem is Waypoint is still really big, and, we're still really tiny, and we have to figure out a way how to get onto the island without I can't say without being noticed, but maybe it's some kind of a distraction.
Right. That sounds about right. Why are you guys trying to get into Waypoint again?
Because Waypoint is Asmodeus' stronghold, and the bulk of the fleet is currently headed to Snapstab to deal with the mess that we created there.
Right. And we want to kill him.
Yes, before he could undo all of our nice pillar work.
Okay. That sounds about right. Okay. So we will on maybe several hours after you guys had gotten a chance to talk to the fleet, as Randus and Pistonella are working on basically the thing that might actually make this entire thing possible, which is a I don't know, what are we calling it? Like a super duper solenoid?
Solenoidiest.
An ultra solenoid.
Yeah.
A massive solenoid paragon, an MSP, if you
Right.
Boo.
So let's pick up there as basically Randus and Pistonella are plugging in numbers and nodding and trading notes and maybe working on some small prototypes. It finally gets to the point where they have something more or less presentable to show everyone else.
I think we got this all more or less figured out?
Well, about as much as we're going to without a trial. You want to tell Ket?
Yeah, sure. I'll go get him.
Ket is presumably in his cabin, possibly asleep.
Knock on the door.
Enter.
All right, open the door. Hey, Cat. I think we're ready to try the thing. Do a
Yeah.
trial run, see if it works.
Did you have a particular test in mind?
I'd see if you had any thoughts on that.
Is there anywhere we could pick up any last-ditch help?
The way this solenoid is going to work is it's going to waypoint. It can't take you guys somewhere else.
Never mind then. Well, it seems like testing it then would be a terrible plan.
They have like a small expeditionary force.
But if we let them know that we've got solenoid technology again, then they may all come back immediately. We have to assume he hasn't completely abandoned Waypoint, that there's at least one Devil's R still there.
Fair enough.
So we're going to have to rely on you being correct
Okay.
on the initial go. It's not like it's the first time.
I'll go and let Pistonella know.
All right. Good work.
All right. Head back and tell her that.
Okay. She's like, oh, yeah. I'm glad we didn't just decide to test this on our own.
Yeah, that could have been bad.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're just going to have to trust that this highly experimental technology that's about 10 times bigger than the last one, which itself was unstable, is going to work.
Well, can't say I haven't done crazier.
Oh, well, that's good. Anyway, I guess we should probably get some rest.
Yeah.
We'll probably just have a few hours before everybody on the boat starts getting up and starts doing useless things like eating or cleaning. So, better beat them to it.
Yeah. Get some rest. Yeah, we'll make sure everything's prepped in the morning.
Okay. Good work, Randus.
Yeah, you too.
She goes off to her cabin.
All right. I'll probably also head that way.
Okay.
Make sure everything I got's good and ready. Do whatever minimum amount of shutdown I need to make sure I'm good and prepped.
Yeah. Sounds good. So we'll say that bright and early the next day. Well, first off, the fleet moves overnight so that they're not just in the same place for very long. So by daybreak, they've moved somewhere else, which is fine. That doesn't screw up your math too much. The issue is the place you're jumping to rather than the place you're jumping from. And the ships circle around, and some of them connect to each other, and some of them send boats, and a bunch of captains and relevant crew members all gather on the deck of the flagship.
Oh boy.
So is it going to work? And if it doesn't work, are we all going to die?
We're hoping for the best. By all calculations, it seems like it should work.
I trust you. And probably if I was wrong, I won't be around to, say otherwise. So.
Way to look at it.
Have any ships left the fleet?
Nope. everybody's gathered up.
Great. I'm leading everybody to their doom.
Yeah.
About that. When we come out of the gate, what if we were able to distract all the battleships at Waypoint to think we were in a different place?
How do you mean?
Well, here, let me show you. And I kind of do a couple of moves, and all of a sudden, I've got a force wall in front of me. But instead of the straight force wall, it's kind of curved. And everybody who's watching, looking at me, suddenly sees me disappear. And if they look over to their right, on the other side of the ship, off the ship, like over the water, you see me just standing there over the water, just hovering. I just kind of wave at everybody.
You turned your force wall into a big mirror.
Yep. Then I turn it off. And I think with enough power behind it, you've got some mages on this ship, right? Some wizards on this ship, Ket, magic users?
Yeah, there's some amongst the crews.
I may have to assign them some internships statuses so they can help power this up, because right now I can just do a regular wall, but if I'm going to do the entire fleet, I'm going to need some backup.
Of course, I figured you would.
Okay. Interns.
They'll still be referred to as crewmen.
To you, maybe. But on the official payroll, they shall be listed as interns.
We must take our joy where we can find it.
Are you suddenly paying them then, Norm?
I have a lot of money somewhere. Back in the Feywild. Oh no, I left it all on Randus's ship.
Well, nice work. That's very clever.
Oh, thank you.
Cut to a cloud above the southern continent.
Monsters in Monster Town being like, huh, that cloud really just doesn't move, does it?
I guess not.
Just a distant whirring sound.
It's the lucky cloud. Some of the captains step up and they're like, well, are we gonna have a some kind of meeting to discuss tactics, or are we just gonna haul off and do this, or what?
You're right. We should actually discuss tactics. I am open to ideas at this point, but our primary goal is to make landfall.
Well, we don't know exactly what we're sailing into, so we should probably come up with some alternate plans, but primary focus should be to assess the force. I'd say if it's superior, then try to scatter to depending on, I guess, what kind of formation they're in. There's so many variables. I wish we had better intel.
Well, we do have some scattered intel, but a lot of it comes from what their usual tactics seem to be, more than what exactly their makeup is over there.
Well, what do you know about their naval tactics?
I know some stuff about their naval tactics. We've run into them a few times.
They haven't fully grasped our hit and run tactics yet, so.
Well, that's good. Then, yeah, maybe some degree of scattering, hit and run, assuming that they're going to have an inferior force, or at least equal force, which is going to hurt their usual advantage of superior might. we can maybe try to either scatter and then regroup and deal with whatever small things follow us and make landfall.
Let me get a diplomacy roll from everybody.
Diplomacy, you say?
Absolutely.
I'm kind of good at that.
I'm very good at that. Though I did roll a 3, but that's still a 37.
35.
36. I just had to one up you.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Seeing as it appears that we're going into what looks like might be a skills challenge, should my Arcana be 21 or 26? Because it's supposed to be trained, but my character sheet doesn't have it marked, which is an error that I had before you had to do my character sheet.
Okay. Let me see. Level 28. Cat. Let's see. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 things trained. One of which you get from your multi-class thing, right?
Right.
So
Good.
how many do warlocks get? Do you remember?
I do believe they get 4.
Okay.
I know this was a thing that kept popping up with the character builder. It just would not tag me as having Arcana trained.
Yeah.
Despite
you know
me.
what? You know what probably happened? I bet you probably retrained it at some point. Not away from it, but to it. And other changes probably trip it up. So yeah, go ahead and put yourself down as having it trained.
Okay.
We'll check this between sessions to see if it's supposed to or not. But we'll just call it trained for now. Okay. Let me get your diplomacy checks again. What did Little Sparkle get?
37.
Sakar?
Okay, 26.
26. Randus?
A mighty 24.
Orem?
35.
And Cat?
36. How is your diplomacy so nonsensical, Sparkle?
It's trained. It's my primary stat, and I just got an item that ups it by 5.
Oh, it's that item.
Okay. So we're going to have a planning skills challenge.
Ooh.
Boy.
So nerdy.
Yeah. You are going to try to pitch in to come up with a functional plan that gets you killed the least amount possible. I'm guessing a lot of this is going to be based on what stats, depending on what role you take. But we'll just kind of go for it. And you might, if everybody's like, well, I coordinate logistics, and the next person's like, I, in a different phrasing, coordinate logistics, you might hear me say, no, well, you gotta come up with something else with your skills. It's not the usual skill challenge, but we'll see how it goes. Did you have a question, Rob?
No, I had a thing that I needed to point out because someone other than me used diplomacy. So everybody else's diplomacy roll was one better than that, which doesn't really matter for the initiative. But I'm a half elf, so I give +1 diplomacy to all my allies.
Oh.
It might put Orem in front of you.
Or tied with you, at least.
Yeah, what's our breaker? What do we go to next?
Diplomacy.
Usually your mod.
We'll say the breaker is intelligence modifier.
+8?
+5. I'm smart, not that smart.
You're like street smart.
No,
I'm like book smart.
No, I'm like genius. You're something else entirely.
Ah.
And
Insane.
then Randus is above you. There's somewhere else. Yeah.
You guys. Oh yeah. I'll also point out. You guys get 1 reroll as far as basically getting information from the other captains or stuff that you've gathered. Just, having some amount of intel, which among this crew, you're going to be able to find something useful, but you only get one crew reroll. So consider where you use it.
It's one as a group.
Yep.
Sure, it's not one each because
That's what
we
action
need it.
points are for.
No, it is not one each. All right. Yes. You find yourselves in front of a large round table with a pretty okay map of Waypoint's northern arm. Around you is a motley crew of captains and various other assistants. Some of the captains that had wizards in their staff brought their wizards because they were asked to. A lot of the captains have like seconds taking notes. A lot of the captains have seconds actually doing the thinking for them because they're like, kick down the gangplank yard type captains as opposed to actual people that are good at managing a ship. They have a first mate for that. So there's a lot of different personalities here, but kicking us off with some planning is Little Sparkle.
So I know we just used diplomacy as initiative. Can I still use diplomacy as a skill?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
Absolutely.
Then basically given the high level of disparate personalities, Sparkle's going to try to like start things off by smoothing things out and like coming up with a way to organize the meeting so it doesn't turn into a big shouting fight, and using bureaucracy to get everyone sharing productively, or possibly even like putting people into groups where we can like coordinate better.
All right. Sparkle's on workflow. So go ahead and roll it.
Cool. And I will now use Ket's bonus. That's a 50.
50 is a success.
Sweet.
All right. Sparkle manages to work out a you don't talk out loud unless you're holding the stick type system to keep everybody on task, and it'll take us to Worm.
So I need to gather all of the magic users that everyone has brought, and I'm going to tell the captains that your magic users will probably need to be on the ship that I'm at, so that we can do this, so that they can help me power up my magical spells. And I'm guessing that would be Arcana, if I have to do a small demonstration to kind of show them.
Yeah, pulling the wizards aside and figuring out how to do this would be Arcana.
Okay, I will roll Arcana, and I get a 37.
Okay, 37 is not gonna get you there.
Then I will. Let me see if I've got an action point, because I need all.
You would.
I'm going to use an action point then, and roll that again, and get a 41.
41's a success.
Good. All right, so wizard.
Magic, the wizards go off in the corner and talk to each other for a while.
Sometimes you hear giggling. Tee.
All right, that's going to take us to Cat.
Oh boy. I would like to use insight to start aggregating ideas that are working together and get the basically while Sparkle's got this setup of these people are talking, or the single person talking, as ideas are coming through, I want to get the ideas that are going to be best cooperative and start aligning the ships, or getting the captains and crews together to that point with insight.
Okay.
That'll be a 43.
43 is a success. All right. Cat starts collating. That's going to take us to Sakar.
Sakar remembers the long and involved meetings and Korch and various groupings of his childhood and his adulthood and his hoodhood, and realizes that there's always going to be those guys who aren't paying attention.
Okay.
So Sakaar is going to use perception to suss out which guys aren't paying attention and occasionally just give them a little nudge to the shoulder to make sure that you don't have one of those action-oriented pirates who zones out thinking about how great it's going to be to just shank somebody and missing the point where he and or she needs to, actually be aware of the tactics and strategy in play.
Mm-hmm. It's a good thought. Unfortunately, social perception is insight.
Crab cakes. All right. So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What if those people are obvious and they need to be scared into paying attention, which would have Sakaar kind of hovering in an eerie, red-eyed way to make sure that they're not, basically the Principal Strickland, where they're paying attention because they're too scared not to, because the intimidating guy right behind them.
I mean, that sounds fine to me.
All right. So once again, Sakaar is going to be a big scary jerk to keep people on task.
Okay.
Because it worked in the Dwarven War, and it'll work here if I knew how to roll. Arf!
Yeah, a 31 is not going to get you there.
I did not think it would. Shall I re-roll?
Wait. That was intimidate. I think I can make you reroll.
Can
It's been a
you?
while since I've gotten to use that one. Empathic read, ally fails, bluff, diplomacy. Yes.
Ah!
I'll give you some insight into their actual fears.
Ooh.
Ooh.
All right, go ahead.
44.
44 is a success.
Nice. So knowing what frightens pirates, Sakaar embodies, I don't know, excess salt. Your tummy gets all bloated when you have too much. I don't know. Just abstract. He's scary as hell, and it works.
Yep. That sounds good.
Mhm.
All right. Next up is Randus.
I might have a kind of a weird idea, and you have to let me know if this is something that'd be feasible. Like, what if we, like, our departure radius or whatever is somewhat larger than our arrival, therefore maybe displacing additional amount of astral sea and letting us come in on a bigger wave that's going to push us to let us get to shore faster. And if that's something that can work, maybe I can use that to coordinate with the captains and whatnot to determine how to arrange ships so that the smaller, faster moving ones won't ram into bigger ones and whatnot.
Okay. And what do you hope to use here?
Arcana?
I would say maybe not, if the crux of it is not whether Randus can pull that off, but whether ships are going to be running into each other. That sounds like either diplomacy or something similar.
Dungeoneer.
Can we make it? Can Randus pull that off, and then we worry about the additional logistics with further rolls?
Sure.
I would like to try that then.
Randus explicitly leaves a part of the plan out.
I at least put forth that idea of coming in on a crazy wave and seeing how well that works. 59.
59 is a success.
Oh look, it wasn't a 1.
Do what I can,
right.
man.
That's gonna take us to the second round.
So can I provide ideas on the kind of hit and run tactics and using Orm's illusions while basically making a stealth check?
You guys are really not going to be able to hide. You're attacking.
Okay.
Really, the amount of stealth that you guys are going to be able to bring is going to happen when the fight starts, and then you're going to be out of any conceivable stealth. That said, there probably is a way to get stealth involved in here.
We need to hide our ship.
I mean, also
Maybe
probably not. I mean, if part of your plan is to conceal the regent until the very last moment, I guess, yeah, that could probably work for stealth.
All right, I'm just trying to come up with, like, since I already used diplomacy and like a lot of my skills are not super relevant to this. I can't come up with a good way to use like streetwise or acrobatics or bluff.
Can't you use bluff to make sure that everyone that you project the aura of confidence about how great this plan is going to be?
I guess that's fair. Like, can I use bluff? I mean, I guess diplomacy would normally be the thing for like that, but like, could I use a little bit of bluff to like just keep everyone's spirits up? You know, especially even like as I'm getting tired of this long meeting, to make sure everyone's still staying productive.
Sure.
Cool. 47.
47's a success. It's going to take us to Orem.
I'm sure at some point a nerd fight's going to break out over who remembers this portion of Waypoint better than the others. And so at some point, all the nerds are going to pull out their books, and we're going to be looking through and cross-referencing everyone's magic and everyone's idea of where the island is laid out and projections and all that stuff. So we're going to have to use history for that?
I'll allow it.
All right. 39.
39. It's a success.
Nice.
Wait, I have to go again?
All right.
Yep.
You do have to go again.
I'm not used to this.
Okay, we haven't failed once.
So
Come on, mighty leader, bring this home.
I'm used to, when we go this far, like, oh, I don't have to do anything because we're going to fail by the time it's my turn again.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
there are
because Ket is slow. The slowest person in the initiative usually only gets to go once either way.
Yeah.
But
no, I am going to be using diplomacy to finalize all the plans, get everything together, make sure everybody's on the same page with exactly what we're doing, and being the admiral that I'm supposed to be.
that sounds good.
And I'm going to use Beguiling Tongue on this as well, because it gives me bonuses. And I'm going to activate my Star Ruby ring here as well.
Okay.
Uses power of making a charisma-based skill check during a skill challenge. I can roll twice and take the better result.
Sounds good.
Right. I have one of those. That'll be a 47.
47's a success.
Woo!
All right. You guys managed to get everybody through the plan. Speaking of which, not a lot of actual what the plan was got said. So what is the plan?
I think as soon as we come out of the teleportation, Orm's going to throw up the force wall with the help of the other wizards and mages and magic-y peoples. So hopefully that will draw the Waypoint fleet towards the illusion, while we try to slip in or around to a landing place to make landfall.
While the regent tries to make landfall, or while everybody tries?
Well, I mean, everybody's going to be grouped together, so I mean, however many people want to try to make landfall is fine, but certainly the regent needs to make landfall.
Sure. Okay.
I'm assuming Orm's going to be able to project the reflection in various directions, as opposed to just this is always going to be 30 feet to the right.
Oh, no, it's not 30 feet. It's like a degree. So it's going to be, it's only one direction. So we have to figure out which direction we're going to angle this, right? So it's not like, it's not like we can just make, it's not a prism where we can split the light and make like 14 versions of it appear. It's just going to magnify and enlarge the appearance of the fleet, but it's going to make them look, like 100 miles or 200 miles to the left or to the right of where the actual fleet is. And we will be kind of invisible behind the force wall.
Okay.
But you are able to choose left or right.
Yeah.
So it's-
Whichever way
okay.
you guys want.
Whatever way is going to be closer to the enemy fleet.
Right.
100 miles seems like a lot.
I assumed it was an exaggeration.
Oh no, that's why I needed all the magic-y people.
Are they going to be able to see it if we deflected 100 miles?
Oh yeah.
Can we have like some maybe Randus bombs set to also like basically create, I don't know, almost like a what's it called? Mine network, so that when they go chasing the illusion, maybe it'll blow up some of their ships?
Not really.
Okay.
Randus, first off, it would be difficult to pop out of hyper jump and then set up a bunch of mines off over there while you're trying to distract everyone.
Fair enough.
And then the other thing is Randus is going to have a full-time job during this entire thing.
Sure.
Fair.
I just want to try to make Randus solve all of our problems.
Honestly, I'll say just because it, like, we can, you guys can actually just have Pistonella on the solenoid, because I don't want to complicate the landing party too much by having Randus be on a different ship.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now you're
Should we
assuming
like leave mines so maybe once they realize that the decoy is a decoy and they start following, then maybe they would run into mines?
Yeah, like that.
Sure, you can. When you decide, when you come to the momentous decision of whether you're going to angle to the left or to the right, you can have the rightmost ship drop some depth charges, essentially.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So, do we know how many of these massive ships are going to be at Waypoint? No, but you guys,
No.
but Ket's group has taken these ships down before, right?
Yes, we know the majority of the fleet is headed to Snapstab. We assume at least one Devil's Czar is going to still be there, because it seems tactically irresponsible not to have, since we're reasonably certain that there's no planar communication network at this point, it seems tactically foolish to not leave at least one thing that can suddenly leave.
Sure.
And bring information to the rest of the fleet that can suddenly come back.
Well, it seems then that if not all of the fleet is going to make landfall, then at some point the battleships need to break off and try to attack that thing from the side or behind.
Mm-hmm.
Is the plan for the full fleet to make landfall?
That's the question, right?
What is the actual intent of making landfall? What are we doing when we make
Invading.
landfall?
Yeah, we have to
Go
get
ahead,
to
Sam.
the lighthouse and work our way
Yeah,
up.
we're trying to get a fleet on the ground so that we can fight their fleet or their force on the ground and get our way to the lighthouse and win.
So we want an army on the ground.
Yes.
Okay.
But we should probably have some force at least stay mobile in case there are reinforcements to buy us time.
Do we have a guesstimate of how many ground forces we want?
You have an estimate of how many ground forces you have.
Okay, how much is that?
You probably have about, I'd say, solidly 100 combat capable people that can, assuming that, the various ships that they're in make landfall, that can essentially make a beachhead for you. With the huge asterisk that you don't know if and how this particular section of Waypoint is going to be defended.
So what would be the most effective way to deliver those? What number of ships making landfall would be the most effective way to get our 100 or so ground troops to the island, minimizing the possibility of sinking and shooting and burning in the glade?
The most effective number is going to be most of them.
Okay.
There are going to be a couple of ships that just really aren't capable of like making landfall properly, and if you really want to have an exit strategy, then I mean, for everybody who doesn't have a teleporting ship, then presumably leaving one ship, that's fully crewed so that any survivors can pile onto it and take off would be reasonable. But then again, this is the sort of Hail Mary play where, maybe just everybody jump in and hope for the best. And, obviously we're not getting out of here if this fails kind of situation. That's really more about it's less about what would be best and what would be most efficient, and more about what Ked's admiralty style is and what the expectations of his captains, what his captain's expectations are.
Also, if I remember our discussion from the previous episode, we were talking about not approaching from the military side, right?
Yeah, you guys are going to be approaching the northernmost arm, which has historically been a exclusively like sort of high-end merchant kind of situation. So it usually has the least it literally has the least room for military vessels, because most of the ships that traditionally get there are small ships with fine wares.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the 100+ miles or whatever for deflection purposes. Well, it sounds like we've made a way to get to land, at least, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And the expectation is that we're going to land as many ships as we can?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe keep sailing the ones that are too big to properly land, and probably try to keep those with a skeleton crew so we can have as many boots on the ground as possible.
How many do we expect would be too large to actually land of the ships that we know we have?
You have a couple. So you have a couple of like big old tankers.
Mhm.
So explicitly, you guys are going to this port because you are like big old tankers and warships would have trouble navigating into their docks and their marinas, whereas smaller ships can just basically ride on up and just jump out.
Mhm.
However, if you guys really wanted to, there's nothing saying, like, if you don't expect that an equivalent number of people of that ship's crew is going to make it back out alive, you can always bring those ships in and just crash them into the beach. They're just not going to be, or into the marinas. They're just not going to be able to get back out. That's the issue.
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to go that level of suicide run. If we can get at least most of the people loaded onto another ship, and then keep like those big ships on the in the water, and possibly allow us to like them to buy us time to stop any naval response.
Yep. I mean, you guys got all the way through that skill challenge without any even any failures. So I assume that there's a reasonable level of contingencies planned in. Not saying that if anything, or if something goes significantly wrong, it won't cause you problems, but certainly the ability to have, say, an escape plan, assuming that things go poorly, because you can have more, and basically having another wizard step in if somebody just snipes Orem from a tower and kills him immediately, and then when his mystical spirit soul wakes up, also snipes him. You guys can factor in some redundancies so that your plan doesn't immediately fail, assuming that one of the big links goes down.
I want to try and send one or two ships to try and take out a Devil's R if it's there, or
Okay.
if it tries to, as I think the biggest point of failure at this is if they bring the fleet back
Right.
and are able to overwhelm us.
Okay. You can hang a couple fast ships back for, I don't know, what do you call that jerk that hangs out by your flag so that the other team doesn't take it?
Matthew
Campers.
McConaughey.
Yeah.
Me.
Guy with a shotgun.
Yeah. All right. What else?
Well, I think everyone should get a really good night's sleep. And, I don't know, pray to any gods they pray to, and
What, and have them tell Asmodeus?
Sounds like we're going in.
Okay.
All right, everybody go take a nap. Take a good long nap. And we'll be back next week to see if this plan succeeds
legs.
or fails or what's going to happen. You'll just have to tune in next time.
On critical hit.
There you go, Matthew. And for the rest of you, here's hoping all of your dice rolls are critical hits.
This podcast is copyright 2020 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.